Hello, I'm Jo, and welcome to the Midlife Entrepreneur Podcast, a new show that's all about building a business in midlife. My guest this week is Joanna Jensen, author, entrepreneur, and investor who's best known as the founder of Child's Farm, the natural and sustainable skincare brand for children and babies. Joanna is one of the UK's leading entrepreneurs and someone who knows firsthand the grit it takes to build an award-winning brand. In 2010, she set out to solve her daughter's eczema struggles, and in doing so created Child's Farm, now the #1 children's skincare brand in the UK. She grew the business from kitchen table to supermarket shelves nationwide in just 3 years, and then sold it to PZ Cussons in 2022. Today, Joanna channels her energy into supporting the next generation of founders, investing in and advising retail disruptors like Freya Bone Broth, Hunter & Gather, and Natural, and championing female-led businesses through her angel investments and work as chair of the Enterprise Investment Scheme Association. And now she's sharing her story in her first book, Making Business Child's Play: How to Build an Award-Winning Brand. A practical, no-nonsense guide for anyone building a brand from scratch. Part memoir, part manual, it's packed with lessons on resilience, which she believes is the single most important quality for any entrepreneur, as well as clear advice on building a business that lasts. I know I'm going to learn so much from this conversation, and I know my listeners will too. Joanna, welcome to the Midlife Entrepreneur.
Thank you for having me, Jo.
You're the first founder who has sold their business that I've interviewed so far. So my first question is, what does it feel like to sell off your baby?
Oh, it's the most jumble of emotions you could possibly imagine, because at one stage you've got this huge relief that it's done, it's over, you've satisfied your shareholders, everyone's going to be happy, your staff are by and large happy, and you've done it, hurrah. But then there is this moment, because you've been working like a dog 7 days a week, 24 hours a day for 10, 12 years. Yeah. And suddenly it almost stops. It's like you've hit a brick wall. And then you start looking to see what everyone else is doing. Now you're not holding the reins. And it's a real mixed bag of emotions, is the simple way to put it. It's joy, it's despair, it's anger, it's relief. And I think it took me probably 6 to 8 months before I had actually come to terms with the fact that I'd sold it. And that was much longer than I was expected. I was talking to a girlfriend of mine the other day. I think it took her a year before she really got over it. She felt like she was minister without portfolio. She had no purpose. What did she do with herself? She even took up ballroom dancing, for goodness sake. But we each of us address it differently. And what was so fascinating with me is somebody said to me, don't do anything for 6 months. Don't make an investment. Don't make a decision. Just go with the flow. It took me about 6 weeks because I was just itching to do something, to have a purpose, to be part of something. And now, 3.5 years on, I look back and it's very much a chapter in my life which has closed. And I'm on to that next chapter, which is wonderfully exciting, and it's something I'm immensely proud of. But it's been owned now by PZ Cussons for 3.5 years. It's changed. They've changed the formulations, they've changed the labels. My signature is no longer on it. Sadly, none of my staff are still part of Child's Farm, but it is going on and doing bigger and greater and more exciting things. And it was a decision I made, and I've got to live with that decision. It's great. It got me to where I am. It gave me a roof over my head. It gave my children choices, and my dogs have got better dog food.
So good.
Everyone wins.
Everyone wins. And when you started it, did you have the vision to sell it?
Yeah, most definitely, because my background was investment banking. And so for me, it was done as a means to an end. I'd gone through a grotty divorce. We were short of money. I was bringing up the 2 kids on my own. And it was a very much hand-to-mouth existence. And the moment I took additional money, so the moment I took investors on board, I had a responsibility to commit to get to an exit at some stage with them. And that is something I think that people forget. The moment you take on external money, everything changes. you have not only responsibility for better corporate governance, but you have to listen to what your investors are asking for, because they now own part of your company.
Yeah.
And whilst you may still run it, or you may have an active role in it, which is not as managing director or CEO, these people own your business alongside you. And too often I see investors totally disrespected by founders, and it's absolutely shameful. These guys are on the journey with you, so pick them wisely.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Make sure the chemistry is fantastic, and make sure they bring something more to the table than just cash.
Yeah.
They've got to have a skill. But also, when times are a little bit desperate, don't just bite the hand off the first person that starts wafting £50 notes in your direction.
Yeah.
That way, massive mistakes and trauma lies. So it's a balance.
Yeah. And at what stage did you take on investment? How far into the journey were you?
We had got prototypes, we had got distribution, we had got our first 5 products rolled out. It was we'd got a listing at both Boots and Waitrose, and I needed capital to be able to support that listing. So quite early days, 2 years into the business, I started looking for additional investment. The other thing to reiterate, I suppose, is I had put my own skin in the game. Up until that point, I had paid for everything. Again, don't go out asking for money from people, and in often total strangers, unless you've actually divvied up yourself.
Yeah.
Because putting that money in yourself shows your commitment, shows your willingness and belief in success. But you've got to be at risk too. If you're going to ask other people to risk their hard-earned cash, you've got to risk yours too. And that is something, again, I think seems to have been forgotten.
Yes.
I see a lot of people trying to job on with the risk in its entirety. Stop it.
And when you started to reach out to potential investors, how long was that period of time from the idea, okay, we need this investment to be able to deliver on our promises to these retailers, to actually securing it? How long was that process?
I did 2 rounds. The first round was much smaller, and that was more luck than judgment. I'd gone off to, it was almost like speed dating. I'd gone to an event where potential investors came and they had 5 minutes with you and then shuffled off to the next person. And during that, I'd met a gentleman who his own family had got a capital gain to pay. He phoned me up about a month later and said, actually, can we invest? This works really well for us. Like you, like your plan, like everything that you're doing. Let's do it. And that was probably start to finish 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
My second round, because I had Boots and because I had Waitrose, I met Andrew Leake and Paul Cartmel in May. It was the day after my birthday, and got the money a month later, but the paperwork took a wee bit longer because I'd ended up having to go to hospital and have an emergency operation. So that was just the delay there, but it was pretty much done on a handshake.
But that was because you had a proven success, really, at that point.
That's because I had a proven success, but I've got to caveat that with this. I had been courted by an investor for 7 months prior to Andrew and Paul, and they pulled out 4 days before they were meant to hand over the cash. So I saw Andrew and Paul 10 days after they pulled the plug. And serendipity plays a huge role in investment. And I saw what I was doing with the initial investor who pulled out. I didn't like him. He was a frightful man. And he's, gosh, I talk to people who'd taken investment from him, and they say it was the worst thing that they've ever done.
Wow.
He was a, can I say bullshitter?
Yeah, of course you can say
Total bullshitter. He had an ego the size of a small African nation, and he was a liar. And I'm afraid he spun a yarn with me. He didn't have the criteria within their asset allocation brief to invest in a business as small as mine. And his partner kept on reiterating this to him, and as an aside, told me. And I said, but what do I do? And he said, go with it. He thinks he can change it. Of course he couldn't change it. And he left us totally in the lurch, and he did us no favours either by the way he dealt with it, phoning up Boots and telling them, oh, she's skint. I doubt she'll be able to make the production run. A really nasty piece of work. And you do not want to go into business with people like this. And I hear so many times of people who are desperate for the capital.
Yes.
Just hold fire. Keep your powder dry, because when Andrew Leake walked through the door of my barn, I'd moved house the day before as well. It was an absolute chaos in the middle of a divorce. And it was like my little brother turned up on my doorstep. And it was just a joy. He is one of the most charming, intelligent, sensible people I know. Complete foil to me, because I'm a risk taker. He's much more sensible. And after I met him, the next day, I got an email from him in character of the animals on my farm. It was
so good.
Utterly genius, and it was everything I was looking for.
Yeah.
And he is still a great mate to this day.
Amazing.
And he and I do a couple of deals together. We try to do more, but we have a great time doing it. And he's someone I trust more than anyone else in the world. Now, if everyone could find an Andrew Leake, we would all be in a much better place.
Andrew Leake's going to get loads of emails now.
He will. I'm not going to share his email address. But he also brought his delicious family along with him, who also invested, and an old friend of his, Port Carmel, who was a marketing genius.
Yeah.
So my board was me, Andrew and Paul. Paul sat somewhere in the middle on risk. So it really was a fantastic triumph for us. And his marketing expertise was genius. Andrew, fantastic on financials, supply chain, and me, just a walking, talking salesperson. So it was a great team, and it got us through to the end. And it gave us credibility. It gave us intelligence. And working as a team like that means that the pressure on you as a sole founder is shared.
Yeah. But how lucky, because you would have taken other investment.
Oh, God, I would have done.
Yeah.
None of my then shareholders, everyone, we all felt like we were having a knife to our throat.
Yeah.
We all felt bullied and harassed. It was not the way to go into business with someone. And at least he had the good grace to pay my legal bills at the end of it, because he was such a tricky one. They'd gone up to 150 grand. And I was a business.
Yeah.
I didn't have 150 quid in my bank account.
No.
And so I was then, again, I talk about this in the book, about the importance of relationships. And for me, to fill that gap between getting the money from Andrew and his family and making sure we hit the deadlines with Boots and Waitrose, I had got an established, really good relationship with my manufacturer.
Yeah.
A chap called Tom Allsworth, who was my knight in shining armour, because before I'd met Andrew and this weasel pulled out, I phoned up Tom. How he heard me, I was sort of hyperventilating, tears pouring down my cheeks, snot coming out of my nose. He was on a plane to Chicago, and I could hear him saying, I have to take this call to the air stewardess. And he just said, don't worry, I've got your back. We'll run the production. I'll help you with that. We'd done a 20-episode cartoon with Turner Media, which I hadn't paid for.
Yeah.
I'd said, yes, I'll do it. And they were doing advertising as well. This was pre-social media. So it was above the line important.
Really important, yeah.
And Tom said, don't worry, I've got your back. I'll sort it out. I'll lend you the money.
Wow.
And it gave me the confidence, that conversation, that when I went to see Boots the next day or after that weekend, and I turned up and they were all sitting around a table, me thinking they were going to pull the deal. But this delightful category director, Jamie Carouche, had got together some senior guys from Boots, and they said, we'll bankroll you. What do you need? We'll invest. What do you need? What do you need? And because of Tom, I had the confidence to say thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get into bed with a corporate. That is what had been shown me very clearly by this VC.
Yes.
I needed angels. I needed people that didn't mind or embraced my challenger essence.
Yes.
That would trust me to make the right decisions. I didn't need people that were therefore subsequently reporting to their shareholders.
Yeah.
So that pressure was immense. And so, I said no to Boots to invest in me.
That takes huge courage.
And it was the right thing. We ended up having the most amazing partnership with them because we completely turned around their category, baby and child toiletries.
Yeah.
And they'd gone from, when we went into there, they were number 4. And within 18 months, they were number one against all the supermarkets and other comparables. But we had a great relationship. And I know a lot of people say, oh, Boots, they're terrifying, they're horrible. They're not. They really are not. And if you are in health and beauty or anything along that line, you need to have a listing in Boots.
Yeah.
Because that will be the game changer for you. And they know how to do innovation.
Yes.
And they know how to support you. They are good at it. Yes, of course, not everything was swimmingly wonderful.
No.
But I would say by and large, they're a great partner to have, and they were a great partner for us. So thank you, Boots, if you're listening.
It's really interesting as you're describing just literally the last 10 minutes of you talking about that journey. Emotionally, how do you, Joanna, how do you deal with all of these ups and downs? Because you've talked about a really difficult potential investor who is awful, and you've talked about being completely on the edge of this is going to fall apart if I don't sort these things out. You described yourself in tears and snot. And you come across as somebody who is, I don't know, just calm, but you're describing quite an emotional response. So how do you respond to these things? I read a bit in your book about somebody said if you're crying for 17 minutes, that's self-indulgent. So I always try and limit it to 15. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And then I suddenly sat there and thought, actually, 15 minutes of crying is quite a long time. So maybe I don't ever cry for 15 minutes. But I'd really like to understand that emotional side of you, because I think one of the things that I've noticed in all the women that I've interviewed is that we're very open to talk about our emotions. We don't hold back on that, which I think is beautiful, by the way, because we all are emotional. Talk me through how you manage.
Well, that piece of advice has stood me in very good stead over the years. I am probably, my children would say I'm somewhat emotionless, but I am as tough as old Boots. Look, I was brought up by a single parent in the 70s, and it was pretty tough existence. And my mother, bless her, was utterly bonkers and probably shouldn't have had 2 children under her care. But that aside, so we learnt to fend for ourselves, and we learnt about resilience. We learnt to believe in ourselves. We learnt to be self-confident. And to a certain extent, we learned how to put a Teflon jacket on, because sticks and stones will break your bones. But honestly, names will never hurt you. But it does. You know, there's no two ways. There's always cracks in your armour. But my husband talks to me about this a lot. I will get quite cross about things, and that's my emotion. I sort of F and blind a bit, and I get and another thing. And then I wake up in the morning.
Yeah. And
it's a new slate. And I don't let these things linger. And that just is life's practice. You know, I'm 55 now. I've been through quite a lot. But also it is confidence, and it is believing in yourself. And it is saying, listen, 2 things really. One is this is just a moment in time, and it will be over before you know it. You know, it's like where you go on holiday for 2 weeks, and then the next you're so looking forward to it, and then the next thing you know, you've been back at your desk for a month. It's a moment in time.
Yeah.
And time is precious. We don't have much time on this planet, so make the most of it. And the other thing is, you've just got to remember that there is no space for regret. And if you give up your time for worry or someone else, all you're doing is making that bigger than it needs to be. And I'm a solution provider. I am really good at coming up with solutions. So I dial that up. So you find out what it is your strengths are within you, and you dial those up, and you turn down that worry that, you know, it's not fair. Now, before anyone thinks I'm made of complete ice, I had someone who I was doing a very uncomfortable negotiation with in my personal life, and it was horrific. So much so, it took over my brain so much, I couldn't open emails from them.
Wow.
I had to get my husband to do it. So don't think that you have to be this absolute iron mountain of strength. We all have things which make us human. Yeah. And that was mine. And I really struggled with that. And my poor husband had to open these emails and answer them and read them before I did, because I would just get so upset. So it's perfectly normal. I also think passion and emotion is what makes fantastic brands.
Yeah.
Because it makes us empathise with our customers, with our consumers. And without that, we're not human.
Yeah.
I'm just quite good at taming my emotion. But there are people that work with me who know it didn't stop me having a good old shout and a rant in the office every now and then if someone was an arsehole.
But that's your way. That's your way of processing the emotion.
Totally.
So I think the interesting thing in what you're saying is it's not that you have a lack of emotional responses to any certain situation, whether it's crying or shouting or whatever it is, but you're getting it all out there and then just moving on with it.
Totally. And I think that's the important thing. Don't let these things sit on your heart or sit in your head.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to be achieved by that.
No.
And I was reading actually this morning an Instagram post by the lovely Kate Reardon, and she was just saying about the things she was giving up food-wise, and her nemesis was sugar, and she was making such a big thing of it. And she's just thrown it away.
Yeah.
And said, oh, sod it. If I want to have cake, I'll have cake.
Yes.
Why do I have to beat myself up and spend so much time thinking about things that just really are pretty irrelevant?
And they're not the thing that you're going to regret when you're on your last few days. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't eat cake.
Yeah.
What a waste of time.
But the other thing that I've noticed as well is they always say, they used to say it was your 50s, but I think they've moved it over to your 60s, is Sniper Alley. And this is sadly when you find a lot of your friends die prematurely.
Yeah.
And if there is one thing that can focus the mind, I think it's that. When you lose friends far too early.
Yeah.
And I think we all then have a responsibility to live our lives a little bit better.
Yes.
And to carry them in our hearts and our heads.
Yeah.
And live that life for them too. And let's not forget, we live in England.
Yeah.
At the UK, we've got roofs over our heads. We've got food in our fridge.
Yeah.
We've got everything you could possibly hope for at our fingertips.
Yeah.
We don't live in a war-torn, ramshackled, hideous environment.
No.
We are very lucky.
We are.
And that is always something I dial back to. And infuriatingly, that's what I tell my children.
I know. I do
wow,
all the
they
time
get
as well.
cross. I told them the other day that when they finished university, they have to start paying rent. And they actually thought I was joking. And then they realised I was serious. I said, if you don't have a job and you think you can loaf around here, it comes at a cost.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably a very good thing for them.
I know they do.
It's going to focus their minds, isn't it?
It does focus the
They
minds.
will think you're mean because there'll be a lot of parents out there who won't be suggesting that.
Yeah.
But there is nothing. It's like, I always say to my children, I can't give you everything that your friends have got. I can't buy
Totally.
you a new car right now. I can't do this. I can't pay for your travelling. You're going to have to pay for it yourself. And my daughter actually said to me the other day, she just left for Greece yesterday, and her friend's parents gave her friend all the money for her travels, and my daughter had to earn it all. And I said, I know it really sucks for you because your friend's just been handed a cheque essentially and you've had to earn it. I said, but Pia, it's the best thing for you, for your future, and for the way you look at money is going to be different because it's your money.
Totally.
And she said, Mummy, I do know that really, but it is quite annoying.
No, I know. But one of mine, actually, my 19-year-old, she did a fantastic job actually in an art gallery in Cork Street for 2.5 weeks and got really good money, and then went on holiday with some mates to Spain, to Barcelona, for too long, and it was too hot and it was too expensive. And I said to her, she came out and she said, I've just blown so much of my money. And I said, how much have you done? And she said, I can't tell you because I am so ashamed, but I need to fill that pot back up.
Oh, good for her.
And it is. Mine are great about that. My daughter's horse she's very lucky. She's got an event horse. She's an event rider. And her horse is 25 minutes away by car.
Wow.
I can't take her every day, so she cycles.
Wow.
And she's 16. And I know people are up in arms. How do you let your children cycle? It's so dangerous. I stick her in a high-vis jacket and she wears a hat. And you know what? And she does it, and it's getting her fitter. She wants to ride a flat race in November, so she's got to get fitter anyhow.
Yeah.
But a 16-year-old is more than capable of cycling. She can do it in under an hour now. The first one took her an hour and 45 minutes, so she's got fitter. So she can do the cycle in under an hour.
Yeah.
And then she rides her horse.
Wow, you got the
and then
fittest
she
16-year-old
cycles
ever.
back. I don't know. She seems to spend an absolutely huge amount of time in bed.
But do you know what? It's interesting, isn't it, that you say that? Because I think I feel like we're moving into a thing about children. But I remember my father saying to me when he was 4 and started school, he had to walk by himself. And he lived in Hammersmith. And London in those days was smoggy and probably quite dangerous and probably very similar in other ways. And could you imagine letting your 4-year-old walk to school by themselves?
I know. My mother used to walk us to school when we were little, tiny, 4 or 5. And it was 2 miles there and it was 2 miles back.
Wow.
But we didn't think anything of it. We need to do more of this.
Yeah.
We really do. It's resilience. It's self-confidence. Your father probably thought nothing about walking 2 miles to go and get something because he had the confidence to do it. He'd done it from an early age.
Yeah.
Belldog can cycle an hour to her horse because she's done it. She's resilient. She's confident. She knows how to ride a bike. If we instill these things in our kids, they're going to be our entrepreneurs of the future.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
And we need to, when they come back and they finish their GCSEs or their A-levels, hurrah, well done, get a job.
You're absolutely, no, I'm really with you on resilience. I really try and instill it into my children as well. And what's really interesting, when you were describing the fact that you process your emotions and then you move on, I probably sit on my emotions a bit longer. I do get in my head. But I've started a new trick, which is I'll go and look in the mirror in my bathroom and I'll go, for God's sake, Joe, what can you do? And I always say, what can you do? And that action comment gets you out of the trench. And it's like, okay, then you dust yourself off.
Yeah.
And it becomes actually quite exciting because rather than sitting on the problem and me really worrying about it, because running my own business, it's been a really difficult year so far. The economy is tough. I could sit and worry about, and what am I doing when I'm worrying about it? I'm doing nothing. Yeah. So when I'm like, what can I do? I'm like, okay, and I'll just go and sit down or whatever I'm doing. And that action suddenly gives you energy and suddenly gets you moving. Even if you don't actually achieve something that day, you're on the path of movement, which feels kind of exciting and that you're taking control. And it's the lack of control.
It's purposeful and it's directional.
Yeah.
And it's that, when you're in a fuzz and you're in a brain funk and you're panic. I think that's genius. Look in the mirror. Say, how can I cure this?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just drip feeding energy out into the universe.
Yeah.
Own it. Find that solution.
Yeah.
Challenge yourself. Think of it as a morning wordle.
Yes.
Trying to take the crap out of your head and focus on the positive.
And your energy changes.
Totally.
And that's the thing. Your backbone straightens and all of a sudden you're in solution mode. And what's interesting is I worked in corporate previously and I've worked in lots of different businesses, but if there was a problem in that business, you'd all sit around the table and there'd be 6 heads and you'd be trying to solve the problem. It's the same thing. You're just doing it with 1 head. So that was every day.
Totally.
I was in retail as well. Yeah. I worked for a global jewelry business and every day there's an issue because there's so many moving parts and you solve it. And I think when you're a solopreneur like me, the tendency can be to get so in your head, not reach out for help. I know you mentioned that as well in the book a bit about having these kind of people that you can reach out to and not just expecting you to be able to solve all the problems because we can't. Yeah. And that's a habit I'm trying to build, actually.
Brilliant.
And reading, so Joanna's book, which we'll get onto, because I think for anybody listening here, anybody who's thinking about launching a brand or has a product that they want to amplify or make into a business, or even if they're running a business and they've got a little bit stuck, this book will really help. But even just reading the first, third of it, I felt so excited. Because I was like, yes, and yes, that bit. And it was really great. So talk to me about the book. When did you have the idea to start writing a book?
Gosh, it must have been about a year after I'd sold the business. And I got involved with a wonderful community called By Women Built, headed up by Sahar Hashimi, divine human being, who was the original founder with her brother Bobby of Coffee Republic.
Yes.
So the sort of the equivalent of Starbucks in the UK. And she absolutely nailed that. And she, during COVID, was just seeing that there were lots of women out there who needed help financially. Female founders get less than 2% of venture capital funding. It's a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke.
And yet we are collectively much better in the boardroom and creating successful businesses. Work that one out.
And leading people, can I just say as well?
Oh, yeah. And knitting and stuff like that as well. But Tom Davies quite good at that. So through Sahar and through By Women Built, and it was in its infancy then, but I got talking to lots of new female founders. It was the same questions, the same issues. It were the same problems. And it is a case of when I started out, I knew nothing to do with retail or Fast-moving consumer goods, FMCG. I used to have to write that on my
I read that bit. I thought that was brilliant.
Oh my God, it was like a tongue twister for me. So I knew nothing, but you don't know what you don't know when you're launching a brand. If you are completely oblivious to these things, but you've got a passion and you've got a need and you've found a solution, suddenly we're expected to know what an FSDU is or, you know, what the promotional periods are. We have no clue.
No.
Not a clue. And so I wanted to share with other entrepreneurs what took me 6 months to find out in 6 minutes. So it's everything. It covers everything from registering your IP to what you need to look out for in a contract, to how often you should be looking at your website and checking on those terms and conditions, to understanding supply chain. Where should your supply chain sit in the UK? Where should the hub be if you're supplying all the retailers in the UK? I've drawn a helpful little picture because I've mapped them all.
Your picture? Do you draw those pictures?
No, I didn't. My gorgeous illustrator who did all the Child's Farm labels,
they're
Emma
brilliant.
Shaw, did them for me, and she and I have been working together for 15 years.
The pictures, because I'm a visual person.
Yeah.
So to me, I can read, but I get distracted by reading. So I have to really pull myself in to read. But
exactly like me.
Yeah. I was like, oh, genius. And there's an image here. Brilliant. I just think it makes it so clear and so easy to understand. And you really, the book's called Making Business Child's Play, but you've made it so consumable.
I didn't want it to be patronising.
No.
I wanted it to be clear. And one thing that we all suffer from is if we're in a room full of people sticking up our hands and asking what we consider to be an idiot question.
Yeah.
And I thought of every idiot question I could and stuck them in the book. And this is just one of two because I wrote so much. I got a little bit carried away. So this one is how to build. So this starts from you have an idea.
Yeah.
Takes you on a journey through validating that idea, really understanding what it's going to require, the market research you need to do, therefore understanding what your consumer could look like, how you're going to talk to him, she, her, it, whoever they may be, through to pulling together your business plan, understanding your channels for distribution, working out how much you're going to sell through each different channel, to all of those fundamentals of admin. So from your contracts to your website, lining you up to be in a position to launch. And then the next book is then scaling.
Right.
So that's how to get into retail. And in that one, I've got everyone from retail. I've got some fantastic founders sharing their 10 cents worth. But in this first book, and this is so important, it is not just if you've got an idea, there's brilliant chapters in it for you. If you've already started, there's brilliant chapters in it for you. If you're established but want to do an MOT or a health check on your business, there's brilliant chapters in there for you. I know it sounds like a hard sell, but we keep on having to look back in business to go forward because if we don't get our foundations right, it can come and bite us on the bum when we least need it to. So getting those fundamentals right, going back, reviewing. And this is me telling you from my own experience. So this isn't horseshit or make-believe. Yeah. This is things that really changed the dial for me. Yeah. And there's examples of things that I did well and examples of things I did appallingly badly. Yeah. And that's really important too. I want to sit by you on your journey, knowing that you've got a sounding board there, a virtual sounding board. And then because so much of this stuff, you could spend days on the internet trying to find it. Yeah. I've done a black book at the back, and this is my little black book.
I saw that.
Of names
the gold dust
and
you
numbers.
Mentioned.
Yeah. This is all those people that I scrabbled around in the dirt trying to find information on. Wow. And it's everything from, did you know if you put an article on your website, if you haven't bought the copyright for it, what you're doing is illegal? Got the phone number of those people you need to call, go on their website, sort that out. I know. I didn't know that till we got fined. See, it's full of these little gems, and it's a smorgasbord of stuff. And I just hope if people that read the book, if they find one thing that they didn't know that helps them on their journey, I will be thrilled. I'm adopting the same principles that I did with Child's Farm. Child's Farm was all about helping little ones with their skin. Yeah. And one person it works for, I'm over the moon. If this book works for one person alone, I'll be over the moon. And it's hopefully it doesn't take too long to read it. It takes about 4 hours cover to cover. And it's got pictures.
So I got sent an unproofed copy last night to have a look at. I had probably got through about 25-30%, probably in less than an hour. I was so gripped. And of course, you're skimming to bits that, really pique your own personal interest, because as an entrepreneur, you're looking at it from where you are and what's interesting to you. But the illustrations were really helpful.
Good.
What I think is really fascinating about what you've done with this book is, I think it's quite female. You're sharing everything to help other people.
Yeah.
And from your own experience. And there's something it's so valuable, but it's also part of the, what I'm trying to do with the show and what I'm trying to do with my work is we want to lift each other up, don't we? Yeah. We want to give everybody the opportunity and to be able to, here's the pitfalls, here are the bits that are going to be really difficult, but I found this solution, try it, see what you think.
It's going into things with our eyes wide open. And I think you're right. I think women were really good about sharing that. We don't covet or play our cards so close to our chest. We're generous by nature. We have to be. We give up most of our lives for our children.
We do.
And our bodies, if I could just throw that one in there.
We do. Well, and also there's less pretense. I don't think the ego is not taking control. There are, of course, exceptions, but whenever I go to a round table event or a panel event or anything that's predominantly women, the level of detail you get to so very quickly always blows my mind. I always think this is amazing.
There's no preamble. We wouldn't be very good about negotiation in Arab countries where we have to take our time and gain trust and respect first. We're straight at it, and I love that about women.
Yeah.
And it's very typical of entrepreneurs because we don't have time. We want to get to the problem and we want to share and get some resolution for that problem as quickly as possible so we can move on.
Yeah.
We don't want to have a meeting about a meeting and then have a meeting about that meeting.
I don't have patience for that anyway.
No, and we don't have time.
No, you don't have time. Where do you get your energy from?
Gosh, I don't know. I love talking about business. I love SMEs.
I can tell.
I mean, my greatest joy is meeting founders and seeing what they're up to. I just have a mind that provides solutions. And when I find myself having stepped back from something, and I'm looking at someone's new business, for example, my brain is on fire and I'm thinking they could do this, they could do that, they could do the other. Oh my goodness, they need to speak to this person, they need to speak to that person. And that is just heaven. Yeah. I've just always been full of beans. I'm a morning person as well.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, when I was at Child's Farm, I was neither a morning nor an evening person because I only slept about 2-3 hours a night.
Okay, that fills me with dread. But
I'm a workaholic, and I will hold up my hand and say I am a workaholic. It gives me a buzz. Getting stuff done really gives me a buzz. And hitting a deadline gives me a buzz. It's the way I'm built.
Are you a list maker?
Constantly. Oh my good Lord. I'll show you.
I can see you've got your notebook next to you.
And then I have my little book, which is called Get Shit Done. Yeah. And that is just a book of everything I need to do. And I tick and I cross out. And
so I have exactly the same book.
Obsessive. Do you?
There's an enormous amount of satisfaction I get from crossing things off. Yes. But I'll set myself my sort of tasks for the day. And it's normally a brain dump of some kind. And then sometimes I even forget to look at it by the end of the day because I'm so stuck in. And then the next day I'm like, oh my God, and I'm crossing. I'm like, wow, I was on fire.
It's something so satisfying, putting a line through something that's done. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I couldn't do that electronically. I love stationery. I love writing. I spend a fortune on pens. Yeah. And they're all the colours of the rainbow because I love colour. And for me, it is really satisfying to know that you started your week's journey and you come to the Friday afternoon and you can round it off nicely. Saying that, I'm always doing stuff over weekends because I just enjoy it. Yeah. I don't have that immense pressure that I had with Child's Farm now. So you'd always have a smidge of resentment, especially if it meant you missed out on doing something with the kids.
Yes.
But now I enjoy it. I really enjoy helping people. And that's, again, the other purpose of the book is there's only one of me.
Yeah.
And much as I would love to go and have a cup of coffee with everyone who emails me and says, please can I take you out for a cup of coffee? A, I'd be awash with coffee. And B, I wouldn't get anything done.
No.
So the book is me sharing that experience with people more easily. And also, I got a dressing down from Debbie Woskow the other day about not monetizing my time, because everything I do pretty much is for nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's all changing too. And I would be delighted to help you with your issues. And you could book in an hour with me, but you do have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And
it's money well spent.
Some to me, but also some to Paralympics GB, of which I chair a philanthropic part of that. And so that will give me satisfaction in that element too.
Honestly, I could speak to you for such a long time because I have so many questions, but we're going to have to come to the end of the podcast session so that we can round up and leave even more great tidbits for the listeners. So I have a device called the 3-2-1s.
Yep.
So 3 things you've invested in that have been worth every penny, 2 things you wish you could have done differently. I'm wondering whether you might even not have any 2 things you wish, and 1 person you'd like to thank, ideally not a partner.
Gotcha.
So 3 things you've invested in that have been worth every penny.
Okay, so I thought about this long and hard, and consumer is in my heart. And I love consumer products. So very sadly, these are things.
Okay.
And my first thing is a pair of Ariat jodhpur boots that I bought 30 years ago and have lasted me so well. And actually, I had to put them down because a puppy ate the sole of one. So it was therefore flooded. And so walking through muddy fields meant I got muddy feet too. But those were one of the best investments I've ever made. For me, physically, the best investment I've ever done is I bought a reformer Pilates machine.
Did you?
And I have had endless problems with my back, mainly from falling off horses over the years. But I also broke my back last year as well. And again, horse-related accident.
Oh,
but for me, and I've got scoliosis as well. So my back is not my best asset. But my reformer Pilates machine gives me strength, it gives me confidence, and it allows my mind to wander.
Yes.
And even when I'm having an online lesson with my lovely Pilates instructor, Kelly, she's got such a soothing voice, and she knows she just instinctively knows when I'm drifting off into a different planet. Yeah. And I do my thinking. I always said I used to do my thinking and my meditation on a horse, but I can now do it on my Pilates machine.
And you're helping your back.
And I'm helping my back. And preventing osteoporosis. And my third thing is Miele appliances. You can never go wrong. My last dishwasher I had for 25 years.
That's amazing.
And my washing machine, 30 years. My dryer, 20 years. You are investing for the long term. And sustainability for me is really important.
Yeah.
So pay that extra money.
Yeah.
And you get that longevity.
Which you could probably apply to the boots.
To the boots,
the reformer,
and
your appliances.
Yeah, be in it to win it.
In it to win it. That's so good. Do you know what? So far, not one entrepreneur has suggested 3 products.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, that's great. It's really great. It's brilliant.
I'm an Olympic shopper.
That's really good to know. 2 things you wish you could have done differently.
None. And as
I knew you were going to say
this. I think. Live with no regrets.
Yeah.
Life is one rich tapestry, and keep on designing it. And you never know which colour you're going to use next. You're never sure what pattern you're going to use next. Go with it. Have no regrets. Live life for today and for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the past is a foreign country.
Yeah. I love that. Do you know, actually, a lot of people have said the only regret I have is that I wish I'd started it earlier. Started their business earlier, because I think so many people sit on the fence for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's often circumstance that forces us into taking risks or taking chances or starting something that you potentially wouldn't have done had life been pottering along quite nicely and easily. And that sort of launches people into doing some of these, what we could consider brave. I know for you it's innate, being an entrepreneur, but for a lot of people it's quite a brave decision to do it.
Totally. And I say that in the book. You've got to really think about it and list all those things you've got to think about before you take the plunge. But I'm quite spontaneous. And so for me, I make a decision. My children would argue that I should regret not having bought Google shares when I was offered them in the early, when was it? Early noughties.
But how did you know?
How did you know? A friend of mine did it. He retired some time ago now. And
I can only imagine.
Quite luxury, quite a luxury lifestyle. But it was everything pays you back.
Yeah.
And don't have regrets. It's just a waste of time.
Love it. One person you'd like to thank?
So this is a total stranger whose name I know not, who I met. I'm just trying to think when it was. It was probably it was my first ever trade show with Charles Farm. It must have been 2012. And because the original labels were all pony related or farm animal related, I went to a British equestrian trade show. So it was basically a farming trade show.
Yeah.
Do not ask me why. It was all I knew. Anyhow, so my sister and I turned up. It was in Birmingham. We decorated the stand with wallpaper I'd had made. That took us best part of about 6 hours. And so it was very homemade, fruit boxes, kids' toys, and then bottles. And a lady came up to me and she said, "Are you the owner of this brand?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "Can I just say, this is like discovering Emma Bridgewater for the first time." She said, "This is brilliant. I can just see you being the most amazing success. Well done."
Oh, how amazing.
And she shuffled off. And it's things like that.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, God, even now I'm getting quite emotional.
I actually got goosebumps when you said that.
It was just the loveliest thing for anyone to say.
Yeah.
And boy, did that give me confidence.
Yes.
So
You'd
I
immediately become an institution in that moment.
Exactly. I want to thank this lovely woman who I think probably owned a tack shop or a farm shop or something, selling cattle feed and chicken feed, and for giving me the most enormous boost that I really needed. And I've carried that with me throughout the whole of my journey.
Yeah.
So thank you, nice lady.
I love that story. And I've so enjoyed speaking to you. I feel really inspired. I feel energetic just speaking to you. I feel like I'm going to immediately rush off and start doing more and more and getting really excited and inspired, and not, like you say, the resilient part of it really resonated for me. I think I have to sometimes talk to myself about being more resilient.
Yeah.
I think I consider myself resilient, and I consider myself somebody who has been brought up to do and to not. I'm not waiting for other people to do things. But there are moments, and as I go through perimenopause, there are moments where my energy is just on the floor, and I have to pull myself together and say, "Come on, Jo," and look in that mirror. And what are you going to do? Come on, what are you going to do? And it's the doing word which gets me through. But just Eva, I can't wait to go and read the rest of your book, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And I know it's not the final version of it, but it will give me the flavour of what I need to really inspire me. So, Joanna, thank you so much for being on the Midlife Entrepreneur.
Thank you very much for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, Jo.
Thanks so much for tuning into the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to click follow on your favourite podcast platform and leave a review. It really helps us reach more listeners just like you. Finally, if you're a midlife entrepreneur with an interesting story to share or would like to nominate a guest, you can do so via my email. It's inquiries@joglynnsmith.com. All information will be in the show notes. See you next time.